We're investigating a rise in evictions.
They wonder why they're having a hard time with people living in tents. We're going to be the next ones.
I think that there has to be an understanding that this is not your forever home.
No pay, no stay!
Landlords fighting higher mortgage rates. Tenants fighting to stay.
I tell my tenants if they've been anywhere for more than 5 years, they have a target on their back.
Hi, we're with CBC Television. Can we speak to you for a second?
We're at the heart of this battle, inside this Toronto apartment building.
Thank you.
Sorry about the mess.
It's okay. And so you have everything in boxes, you're saying?
Yeah, ready, preparing if something happens. If I have to go, to be ready to go.
Chris Kostov has lived here for nearly 20 years. Even though he's preparing to go, he's fighting to stay.
Sometimes wake up during the night and start thinking what I can do, where I'm gonna go. What is gonna happen after that if they come and evict me?
Kostov's landlord is trying to evict him.
He needs the unit for his daughter from previous marriage. Look at the bathtub. Look at the walls.
The place is hardly a palace, but Kostov believes his landlord wants him out because he lives in a rent-controlled unit.
Do you think your landlord wants you out so that he can rent this at a higher rate? At a higher rent?
Yeah, that's what I think. There is no other reason.
And what worries you the most if it happens?
Where I'm gonna live. Maybe I'm gonna live on the street or whatever. Homeless. I can afford with my pension to pay higher rent than this now. Now I pay 600 a month, but the same units they're about 1,400.
In a hot real estate market, Kostov believes he has a mark on his back. He's a long-term tenant paying below market rent. And in this apartment building, he's not the only one.
Hi.
Hello.
Come on in.
Shari Keys lives 3 floors up and relies on disability support to pay her rent.
I have a deteriorating disc, and it rests on the sciatic nerve. So, and it's hard sometimes, you know, going up and down the stairs. That's why I don't hardly go anywhere.
Like Kostov, Keys also got an eviction notice called an N12 in Ontario. That's when a landlord wants a unit back for personal use. Keys says their landlord told her he needs to move his parents in here.
It's not about, you know, his parents and his daughter. It's about he knows what he can get for the unit. And that's $2,800, where we're paying now $1,199.
Keys and Kostov are both appealing the eviction notices at Ontario's Landlord and Tenant Board. The fight has dragged on for months, and it's taking a toll.
It's just an ongoing situation, and it's not getting any easier. You know, we're living in limbo. Yes, it's a roof over our head, but it's not a home.
What's happening here is part of a bigger story. According to the Landlord and Tenant Board's data, N12 applications have shot up 85% since the pandemic, from 3,445 in 2020 to 6,376 in 2023. And in the first 4 months of this year, 2,077 N12 applications have been filed. But more tenants are pushing back, filing what are called T5s to allege their landlords are acting in bad faith. From 331 in 2020 to 1,335 in 2023, and 508 to the end of May.
I will say, like, people are clinging to their homes with their fingernails. Like, they're desperately clawing to stay in their apartment, even if that apartment is terrible. And tenants will refuse to leave for years because they know they've got nowhere to go.
Carly Wilson is a lawyer with Don Valley Community Legal Services. She helps tenants fight N12s. But it's tough to prove a landlord isn't telling the truth.
It's an easy way to get somebody evicted, honestly. Like, an N12 doesn't have a high, what we call burden of proof. What you need to prove for an N12 doesn't require a lot of a body of evidence. It just requires one person saying, I want to move into this unit. And Unless you can prove that they're lying about that, which is hard, you kind of have to go with it, right?
Where does that leave tenants?
I tell my tenants if they've been anywhere for more than 5 years, they have a target on their back.
In tight rental markets like Toronto's, where demand far outstrips the supply of available units, there's a huge financial incentive to flip a unit back into the market and charge higher rents. And there's no way of knowing how many tenants who get an N12 notice just give up and go. Those who do put up a fight face long delays at Ontario's housing tribunal that often leave both sides in limbo.
We are so low.
But while tenants are vulnerable, landlords insist they're not all villains.
Stop rent theft! We want justice!
At a recent protest by a coalition representing thousands of small landlords in Ontario, members say the rise of N12 notices most often reflects the rising costs of financing investment properties. This woman says her tenant is appealing her N12 application and it's ruining her financially.
Yeah, my situation is that's my only house. I want to go back to live in my property, and my tenant didn't agree. I'm a single mom. Sorry. The mortgage is expensive.
Number one reason is the mortgage rates. If you have to pay $800 more a month for your rental property and your mortgage needs to be renewed for your principal residence and you have to pay another $600 or $800 for that, you can't afford it. I can't just pass that monthly increase over to the tenant. So then who's paying it?
Rosemarie is with Small Ownership Landlords of Ontario. Marie says landlords are forced to sell their rental properties and new buyers have a right to issue N12 notices. In other cases, she says landlords are downsizing and moving into their investment properties if they're less expensive to finance.
I do have empathy for the people who are renting in that situation. I have a lot of empathy for them. This is the thing. Whenever we rent, I used to be a renter. I always knew it was never not my forever home because I didn't own it. So I think that there has to be an understanding that this is not your forever home. Depending on what's happening with the owner's situation, they're going to come and talk to you and say, I need my property back.
And when I heard about Chris was going through the same thing, I went, no way. It's crazy how the rent is just through the roof. And they wonder why they're having a hard time with people on the street living in tents. We're going to be the next ones. I guarantee it because we have nowhere else to go.
Keys and Kostov don't believe their landlord actually needs their apartments. They say most of the units in the building have been turned into short-term rentals and could be used to house the landlord's family members instead.
Hey Sherry, how you doing?
It's why, even though Wilson says N12 appeals are hard to win, she's taken on their case.
I think there are certain cases that are absolutely strong enough to fight for, and that was one of them, where there was just this body of evidence and this body of circumstances where to say that landlord was acting in good faith felt absurd.
Tenants need to know their rights, she says, but all levels of government need to step up to build more affordable housing and cap rent hikes when a tenant is forced out.
I think when you talk about how critical it is, like housing is a human right. The federal government has recognized that. The local government here in Toronto has recognized that. But there's not a lot of teeth behind that recognition. We have a system where we are valuing the right of property over the right of someone to live. I do think like landlords entered this business and they bought this property with the understanding that it would be an investment they could make money off of. But at the same time, I don't know if they should be or have been promised a guaranteed maximum return every year in perpetuity.
Back at the building, we reached out to the landlord multiple times.
Hi, we're with CBC Television. Can we speak to you for a second?
He lives in one of the units. He declined an interview, but in an email denied he's acting in bad faith.
I'm a little handicapped right now.
Key's daughter, Amanda Howell, and her daughter live here too.
I'm Amanda.
Yeah, we were just talking to your mom.
Howell had just finished her shift at a nearby convenience store. She's recovering from a recent injury and says mentally she's worn down too.
So this is my daughter's room. As you can see, I have all the boxes that are packed.
The boxes are a constant reminder of what's at stake.
If we'd have to move, everything's gonna change. It's not just for my daughter. It's not just my mom with her medical and her doctors being closed. It's for me too. It's my family. It's my friends that are all around. It's sad because if it was just me, I wouldn't care. If it was just me, I don't care. I could find somewhere to go. But my child, I have a child. She's innocent. And to get people out when they have children too. Look at this one. This one was $3,500. $35 for a 3-bedroom.
For $3,500 for a 3-bedroom.
It's ridiculous. The prices are just, they don't make sense. Like you have small apartments that are like about this size that are going for almost $4,000. Nobody can afford that.
It's been like that since you've moved in?
No, it came during the years. It's moisture.
He never repaired it?
No.
As for Kostov, his basement apartment is dark and damp and badly in need of repairs.
This unit is not renovated since I came in. And that time was not renovated. Just was repainted or whatever.
And the hard truth is, he can't afford to leave this.
Rainstorms.